So the function model of the engineering system as it would exist in the future after the trimming is done is called as the trimming model. And therefore, there will be many trimming models because you could trim many different components. In the case of a brush, we could trim the handle also. We could trim the head. We could think of trimming the bristles also, because bristles are performing the harmful function of bruising the gums there. So from one function model, you could arrive at multiple trimming models. Each trimming model will give you a different problem to solve. Okay. So how to do the trimming? Select an engineering system component to be trimmed. We selected the head of the toothbrush just now. Then select the first useful function of the component to be trimmed. The head was doing two functions, hold and move the bristles. So we picked up the function hold. We applied the rule and we found that we have to move or reassign the function to another carrier, and we reassigned it to the handle. So the handle would move the bristles. Then we picked up this, we formulate the trimming problem as how can the handle move the bristles? Now we pick up the next function. The next function was hold the bristles. So we said, okay, let the handle also hold the bristles. So the problem becomes, how can the handle hold the bristles? And you repeat steps 1 through 6 for all the components. We did this for the head. Now we can do the same thing for the handle. We could do the same thing for the bristles also. And then we would have multiple alternate trimming models. Let us look at the paint filling system example. In the paint filling system, we had this function model. Now we see that there is a harmful function that the float is performing on the target. Let us say we want to trim the float. If I trim the float, what do I need to do? If I trim the float, all the functions that the float was doing, all the useful functions that the float was doing need to be reassigned to something else. So automatically, since the float is gone, this hold, the harmful function is already taken care of. No need to worry about anything. Now, the float was doing one useful function, which was moving the lever. Now my problem is how to move the lever so that the system can still function well. Can you think of ways in which paint can directly move the lever? Because paint was moving the function, the lever, the float earlier. Now, since the float is gone, can we think of ways in which paint can move the lever directly without the float? Can you think of some ways?
So we can use the property of the weight of the paint. As the weight increases, something can be done. Likewise, the tank could be associated with the lever. As the
Very good. Very good. So what we could do is we could say that okay. So okay, the lever could be moved by weight, but वो थोड़ा सा tricky है. हम lever को भी trim करते हैं, then we will move the switch by the weight. ठीक है? If we move, so what we do is we say that the tank, for example, moves the switch. How? We, instead of this system, the problem is how to make the tank control the switch, because the float and the lever are not there now. The solution could be put the switch below the tank. There are springs. As the weight increases, the tank would lower itself and the switch would be closed. Now the pump would not do anything. So very good. Can we do something else?
So one more thing, I mean, an electrical solution is possible if paint is acting as a conductor. Then we can simply use an electrical property to just close the circuit whenever paint reaches the top. So if it just circuit closes, then simply the switch will go.
Very interesting. But see, that thing would also have the same problem that paint would solidify on the contact also.
Yes, sir. That's
है ना?
certification problem also.
So we will enter into the same problem again. We need something different, easier, simpler. Can you think of something simpler?
So we can maybe have a timer that depending on the paint just starts the motor and closes the motor.
See, they do not want to go in with sensors and timers there because they are costly components. है ना? Springs are simple, very easily available, very cheap. But timers are electronics now. You have to add many more things in the system. You want to remove stuff. In trimming, you want to remove as much stuff. You do not want to add stuff. Okay, let me give you another example. If the function of control the switch could be performed by air. Abhi tak we said that the function of controlling the switch was performed by the tank. Can you give the function of controlling the switch to the air?
Yes, sir. But then the chamber must be closed, and a panel would be there on the top of the paint, so that paint, whenever moves up, it moves that chamber also, and so as the air vents out, and then that switch could close. Yes, sir. So that
Very good. Very good. So we have trimmed this. Now we say that the air controls it like this. As the paint moves up, the air in this tube compresses. It pushes the switch down. हाँ? Good. So आप लोगों को तो सब आता है. आप लोग तो solutions निकाल सकते हैं अपनी problem के लिए. So see, now we have already talking of some solution finding. That is not the intent. For trimming, the intent of trimming is define a new problem. What was the initial problem? The initial problem was the paint is spilling on the floor and I do not want that to happen. That problem has now changed to how to make the air control the switch. है ना? So, and controlling the switch we could simply do by using this kind of a thing.
also, sir, here we solved one more problem, that air was solidifying the paint, so that was also solved. That was ample solution.
Yeah. So now I could have an inert air in between which would not interact with the paint at all, would not solidify it. है ना? Or it could be an air which would not let which would have some, say, vapors in it which would not let the paint solidify there. That could be done so that this pipe remains clean throughout. Huh? So what we really need to do is we need to define what is called as trimming problems. How to make the component 2 perform function 1. How to make the component 3 perform function 2 by itself. So at the end of this trimming exercise, you will have a long list of trimming problems which would be simpler than the initial problem that was being provided to you. And as you solve, so they may be simpler, they may be more complex, we don't know. But instead of that one big problem which might have been intractable, now you have multiple problems on which you could work. And you can choose to work on the simplest one, the cheapest one, the most effective one. So that is why trimming is also a part of the problem identification stage. It is not a part of solution finding.